Well, good morning. It's Jim Owens with Performance Strategies Group. And I think the first thing I should do is acknowledge for my mother that, yeah, the beard's coming back. I spoke a week or so ago to the Mortgage Bankers Association in Birmingham, Alabama, and we filmed that with my good friend Brad Thompson at Lumpstick Productions, and I wanted to be clean shaven for that in the event that someone looks upon me as a possible speaker elsewhere. So at any rate, this morning I wanted to talk to you about a couple things. One of them is delegation and the other one is priorities. And those things are connected in a big way. I was meeting with a Chamber of Commerce executive in Tennessee a week or two ago, and she had read my book, 40 Lessons in Leadership, and the first chapter is all about priorities. And priorities come from the Latin word a priori, which means what comes first, basically. It's awfully hard sometimes to determine what comes first. I think sometimes we need to remember that we need to come first in terms of self-care, sleep, rest. You all know I'm an evangelist for those kinds of things, so that we build our creativity and we're more productive. We have a baseline from which to operate. But in terms of priorities, one of the things that I do with coaching clients is ask them not just to list in a particular order of ranking them 1, 2, 3, 4, what's most important, but really what moves the dial. What is it that will have the biggest influence on whether it's an organizational change, whether it's a sales process or strategy, or it's an HR issue, whatever the issues might be within their company or within their own lives? Look at it and weight those things. If you achieve those, say something that will have a 50% impact to your productivity or a 50% impact to employee engagement, if that's the biggest influencer from a percentage standpoint, oftentimes it helps us rearrange what it is that our actual priorities are. Because our minds kind of get in a place where we think, well, this seems most important. And it's not necessarily the most useful thing that we can do for ourselves or our organizations. And so I think it's important to give some more thought to that as we approach this issue of delegation. So what do we do when we delegate? We give tasks to other people, or we ask people to help us with a particular project or challenge based on who is the person that is adequately qualified for this task, but who will take the least amount of resources from my organization or group that I'm working with. So I use the analogy that years ago I worked for a guy who was really technically proficient. He loved computers, he loved copiers, he loved everything technology driven. But he was using a lot of his time to do those things in our organization. I was always a little bit perplexed by the fact that at his rate per hour, it was very expensive to have him go and fix those things. And he was an executive within the company I work for. But he enjoyed doing it, and I challenged him one day and said, it seems like we could find someone else who could do those things so that you can do the things that you want to do or that you alone can do. So when we delegate, here's the thing we have to ask. We have to ask people, we have to tell them actually, what do we want done? Right? What's the task? What does success look like in terms of time, space, and whatnot? When do we want it done? That is, what's the deadline? Is it today? Is it immediately? Is it in a week from now? Whatever. And as we do that, we have to build some milestones in to check in on people and to check in on ourselves, or we'll forget about the project sometimes unless it's a really huge issue. And then the final thing we need to do is tell them how we want it done. If we want it done a particular way, we have to give people instructions about exactly how to do that. Otherwise, we're going to get work back from people that necessarily wasn't what we wanted, and it's going to frustrate them, it's going to frustrate us, and we're going to find ourselves wondering why the heck we didn't just do it ourselves, which is a maddening approach to leadership and sales. So when you're looking to build your team to become more effective in process, look for who is the person that is adequately qualified for a task, but who also is essentially the least demanding in terms of the resources on your organization to do those tasks. That will allow you to take other people and use them, and not take other people, that sounds like I'm talking about manipulating folks, but you'll be able to assign challenges and tasks and growth opportunities to other people appropriately, and you'll be more effective in all that you do. So look for this in your organizations, your churches, your synagogues, wherever you worship. Look for chances to do this in your business, and really look for it in your personal life. There are growth opportunities for our children and for our other family members to do certain things who might be learning things that we need to learn, have them learn over the years. So at any rate, I'm Jim Owens with Performance Strategies Group. If you'd like to know more about our coaching work, our organizational development work with leadership and team building, and our communication strategies activities, please check us out on the web at www.Performance Strategies Group online. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn at Performance Strategies Group. Just look for us and we will see you there. Thanks. Have a great day.